Thank you, everybody, for, again, coming to the non-event. It's not a fireplace chat as such, because we don't have a fireplace, right?
Shark place. Yeah.
But I was thinking that maybe a shark tank or a fish tank is more saying for the situation of sales and competition and marketing. Or what do you think, Matteo?
Yeah, why not? Sharks, there are a lot of fish, not only sharks.
It's even a slow turtle, right?
Also a slow turtle, yes.
Fantastic. We have tonight, before we have the dinner in front of the coral reef, we have two people that I'm going to talk a little bit with. The first is Matteo Cardinotti from BOBST in Firenze. I look very much forward to it, so thank you for being here.
Thank you.
The other one is Christoph Gamper from Durst, and I invited you because, not because you're competing with each other, but I am thinking sometimes that the competitive situation in the global print market is of course something you have to face every day, not only from the printing industry, but from all other kind of technologies and industries. How is that in your position?
We were discussing last night about, that threat can come from external, also from change of regulation where they say you cannot anymore apply a label on a can. So yes, we always have to look at our today's competitor, but also at our tomorrow's competitor, which may arise from anywhere. And
what Matteo is referring to, which I think is quite interesting, is that think of that if you have a packaging today and you add a label to it, then the label becomes the secondary printed product to the packaging, where in the future maybe legislation or the market will simply require that it is the packaging that will be the thing for both communicating and preserving, right? Yeah. How is that something that obviously that is something that you talk about at BOBST. Is that something that you believe that you can address?
Change of regulation are of course something that can affect our industry, everybody of us, and our life as well. We were discussing also last night about sometimes you receive the package that is bigger than and heavier than what at the end is inside, and there is probably today too much deregulation in that, and soon will happen more. We see today in plastic, and in BOBST we have a division that study also material in Manchester, and they are, let's say, with the barrier that replaced the sandwich, they are doing a lot of, they are having a lot of success. This today is in plastic, tomorrow is happening more and more probably also in other field of the packaging industry.
I can't help think about how important it is, because basically a lot of us today think that, okay, going from commercial print to packaging is something that we believe that is the future, but that actually requires a lot of new thinking, because basically we're not in control with everything, and if it's not controlled by legislation, it could be controlled by the consumer demands, right?
Yeah, for sure. And then the consumer, our son, let's say, are going to be different probably from our father in that sense, because they are more conscious. They will be either more conscious about, let's say, green and sustainability. This is for sure an important point.
I prepared a few questions for you, as you know. And it's not because we normally prepare a lot of questions in order to do that, but because we want to keep it sweet and short. It is also sometimes fair that my guests have an opportunity to prepare a little. And the first question is probably a little bit unfair, because the question is 3 things that characterizes Matteo Cardinotti. And if you know of yourself and think of yourself, probably more than 3 things comes to mind. But that is a challenge. So what is your response to that?
The first one is love. I believe that is the most important point in life for my wife, for kids, and for, let's say, my colleague, my friend, family, friends, and is probably the more true things that there is in the world. And then the rest is probably curiosity and positivity, because let's say, I do believe that those are both enablers to become, let's say, an evolving person. This is my 3 choice out of maybe other, good and bad as well.
what I like about it, I mean, do you have more or?
Yeah. I guess so. I hope so.
Yeah. No. I can tell you that the first time I met Matteo was, I think the first time we met was in Alpharetta in your experience center, right? And we have this format we called conversations. And some of you have been part of this, also you, Christian, and other people in the room. And it is, we talk about the business, but we also talk about the family and the human behind the leadership in the companies. And I think that your answers is great because, I mean, one thing is the business side to it, but the next is, of course, and more important, is our family and what drives us. But when you said curiosity, I feel that is a very, very good answer because the way I got to know you, I really think that you have this curiosity for new technology. And also when we spoke yesterday, I think that we had a good conversation about business development and how business models may change the future, right? Fantastic. Now you are asked to give an elevator pitch on any BOBST product that you want to do. And you know that elevators, they can be in short buildings or in tall buildings. So let's see what Matteo chooses, right?
So I will take the permission to do it on a line of product more than a product itself. So it's our basic product portfolio, 1 to 1 million of label. And I will start from the end. So from the, let's say, what are the consumer and it's our customer needs, which is today our scarcity of operator and having, let's say, the right TCO, the best TCO across different order size, from 1 to 1 million label. And that's, let's say, with our product portfolio, where we answer to that from machines that are from digital, pure digital, that can, let's say, start at the one label to, let's say, the hybrid that can go and all-in-one that can, let's say, cover the middle part to the pure analog that can cover the high parts, so the million and million of label. All with one interface, so you can move your operator from left to the right, and so you answer to the fact that scarcity of operator, and with the right TCO, so and the same quality across, let's say, the difference, because you wanna, as our customer, you wanna grow your customer starting from the small quantity to the big quantity and move through our technology, giving the same quality.
I was thinking Burj Khalifa now, or
I think it's a good Empire State Building.
Or a very slow elevator in some old building in New York City. I don't know, but it was a good one, wasn't it? So yeah, let's give him an applause, right? I mean,
try the most beautiful one.
So another thing that we actually almost incidentally came to talk about yesterday is the third question: is that will China take over the world? I mean, it's a short, of course, that's a very short, simple question, right?
I have, how long I have here? Like
until Christoph kicks you out, basically, right?
You know that, and I told you last night, I've been really, and I am really curious about China. When I became managing director in 2011, I started to take care about China also personally, because I believe it's an interesting market to know about and an interesting culture. Now, to answer to your question, if you look at GDP, and that's, I guess, if you look at the GDP modified with the GDP PPP that they call, is already happened in 2017. If you look at the order, it may happen, the projections say around 2030. Despite China has changed a lot in the last, let's say, years, because if you look at the growth strategy until like probably a few years back, was massive development of infrastructure. Now, Evergrande, the bigger one, goes bankruptcy, so they changed it. Now they have planes, they are starting to export cars. They have changed a lot. They are not anymore probably the only producer of the world, and they are shifting more toward also technology and quality. Mm.
It's funny you mentioned that, because if you look at China as a market, I think that 10, 15, 20 years ago, I think that most Western companies saw China as a place to order cheap and use cheap labor to produce products. But today it's becoming a market where you also want to sell products. But that is to some extent, it sounds sometimes a little bit like an unfair marketplace to compete in. So how do you, from BOBST side, address that, like specifically?
It's difficult to compete in China, not be in China. You know that now you talk in China for China. It's difficult because of regulation. Of course, the market is not, let's say, probably totally fair, despite it's becoming more and more fair with the growth of the wage and the growth also of the right of the employee, which it's the same, has been the same everywhere. In Italy in 1960, they were not the same right that we have today. A right come with, of course, with pain and also with increase of cost, and then in certain sense, loss of competitivity. But if you produce in China, like BOBST is, you can compete in China. You can compete in China, if not produce in China, only really small niches.
I can't remember which vendor I spoke to, but I remember, I think it was actually Kongsberg that told me that if they look at their machines and level of automation and iterations of technology, that was not particular in relation to China, but in relation to that the markets around the world are so different in where they are development-wise, that sometimes, and let's say a previous generation of technology can be a perfect fit in Latin America, and the newest and smartest can be a perfect fit in Japan and things like that. Is that something that you look into as well, or is it the same product strategy you follow? Or
not really, because at the end, the Chinese company that buy from, let's say, an European or let's say a Western country leader, they are not the one that are looking at the cheap technology. The cheap technology they buy, let's say, from the local competitor. Yes, they pay the premium because in any case it's going to be a premium also for the BOBST produced in China for let's say a top edge technology.
Does that mean also that I mean, for example, in Europe, where we have high labor cost, everybody's looking into productivity gains. Does that mean that you see that customers in the labor flexible market is looking into the productivity gains on a very equal level across the world?
They are trying, let's say, more and more. In certain market, you know that in certain cases, the time to market is more important than the productivity. You know, it depends it's difficult to give a general answer to this question.
So maybe the next one is very easy for you, because I asked, and that is totally unfair. I said to Matteo, can you give a 2-minute SWOT analysis on BOBST?
Yeah. So,
yeah, 2 minutes should be enough, right?
Yeah. So on the strength, there is of course a lot. I will start from values, the size of the business, let's say the customer centricity that we have, and the fact that we are active in many industries, and of course give us a lot of touch point with the customer. Technology is amazing, people is amazing, and we have a lot. We are almost 7,000 people around the world. And we all share the same values. That's, let's say, a big point. The weakness, you know, of course, is everyone has a weakness. And maybe looking from outside, you could see BOBST as a giant. And so you believe it's not agile. In effect, it can be seen like that. But on the other hand, I'm telling you, the business I manage label, which is the smaller one, I am reporting directly to the CEO. So we have like a different menu, considering our maturity is different from other product line, which are maybe 3 or 4 times or 5 times in this term of size. So there is agility. There are processes in that sense. This could be maybe the fact that in digital we are later to the game, so we are not at the moment offering worldwide. And then in terms of, let's say, opportunities, for sure, that is also an opportunity because we can expand. Label, we are not yet number 1 or number 2 like in other business, but we are growing. Let's say we are growing a lot. We doubled the business in the last 3 years. And so, let's say, there is a big opportunity there, like opportunity regulation, having, let's say, possibility to look at the 100%. And in application as well. And then, of course, there is threats, competition, regulation, change. Who knows? As I was saying, it could be that certain packaging disappear, therefore the market can shrink in certain cases. That's why, let's say, for us, being active across the entire, let's say, in different fields in packaging, we can compensate.
See, now
was it 2 minutes?
No, I was just about to say, now I know why the elevator pitch was a little bit long, because the 2 minutes, we simply work on to different time measures, right? But that is just fantastic. Should we give an applause? I mean, to give a 2 minute sword is fantastic, isn't it? And I can't help think about, because you said agile, and maybe you were thinking of the next question, because that is also an unfair question. I have just written agile, dynamic, competitive. Does that equal BOBST?
Yes. As I said, we are big, but we have also different departments. Sometimes agility comes also from like the cross, let's say, department technology, that they are looking at different sides. Like, for instance, our vision department that has less to do with the business, but is developing across. We are customer-centric, so we don't like to lose. Of course, we fight, and we are competitive. We like to say, and that also for agility, sometimes that when you want to go fast, you need to, let's say, go slow, in the beginning, and know where you go. And so, yes, let's say...
So that equals BOBST?
Yes.
Last question, which is a little bit more in the fun part, and I'm very curious about the answer, is basically, can we learn from fish?
Yeah. That's really...
I mean, it's a beautiful ocean here, right? So look at that guy, for example, right?
Yeah. It's nicer to see it from here than when you see it when you are swimming, I have to say. There is one thing about fish that, apart from rare exception, they cannot swim backward. They are always, I learned that only eels are one of the few exceptions.
Really? I didn't know that.
They can swim. So, let's say this inspired me to think that, as is also part of I am, that always look forward. Of course, what you did is the basis for your action, but then the only thing that you can do is look forward and live your present to change, shape your future in the way you believe is the right to happen.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Matteo. I really enjoyed the conversation. I hope you like it too.